Who here would like to spend loads of time in the gym and make no gains? Who here would like to waste all their energy doing cat shit exercises and still make no gains? Who here has seen a lot of people doing a lot of cat shit exercises and obviously making no fucking gains? Boys, I do not want you to waste a single second of your next gym session. I want everything you do to have purpose, reason, rationale, and know that it's going to get a certain response, because once you understand this information, A, it gives you a lot of mental clarity that you know what you're doing is working, but B, you just stop wasting your fucking time, because you're going in and you're putting the effort in anyway. You're allocating the hour to go and train anyway. You're dialing in your nutrition anyway, at least I fucking hope. So you may as well do everything as good as you possibly can. Now, of course, I'm going to give you 10 of what I think the best exercises are and why. Obviously, everyone on the internet's all got an opinion, so I am technically just a guy on the internet. But the reason I start with the photos of me at the front is I got some alright results. Maybe you could agree or not. So we're going to go down 10 exercises, and we're literally going to cover one main movement for each muscle group, and I'm going to give you the why behind it. So let's not waste any more time. We will start with the pecs. Now, despite all the chest machines, all the movements you've got available to you, the one I would stick to would be an incline dumbbell chest press. And the reason I say incline is look at the arch you can get here. Look how much deeper you can get. Look how much stretch you can get on the chest. More distance can be traveled. It is easier for people like me that have like what we call poor thoracic mobility and struggle to get and open up the rib cage at the top and get the chest up. So this exercise works really well. Why dumbbells are not a machine? Well, dumbbells challenge the muscle as it gets to the lengthened position. Generally on the eccentric phase, you can make more gains a little bit relative to doing like with a cable where there would be tension all the way through to the top. But with this, you'll be able to load this up quite nicely. You could say, well, why don't you do a barbell? And the reason I say that is you can go heavy on this, you can go deeper, but if you do that with a barbell and you can't get back up, you're going to fucking tear your pecs apart, boys. If you haven't got a spotter, how the fuck are you going to get that barbell back off? So from a safety standpoint, I think this trumps it. You can get more range of motion, and eventually you will be able to lift just as much load. It's relative, isn't it? I know you can always lift more on a barbell than you can on a dumbbell, but it's all relative. Drive performance on this. Take it to fucking failure. Take it with intensity. Stretch the chest. Converge it back across. And that is that for chest. Now, moving on to the back. I'm going to be cheeky and break the back up into two muscle groups. I think that's fair, judging by the sheer size of the back. We're going to do traps and we're going to do lats. For traps, I'm going to go a T-bar row. Always chest supported. Fucking always chest supported. The amount of cat shit stuff I see where people are stood up doing that. Why would you stand up and do this exercise with dumbbells or a barbell? Because then you get all the back has to work. Your glutes have to work, your hamstrings have to work, just to hold you in position. That's before you've even pulled your elbow into shoulder extension and contracted the muscle. We want to train the traps. Fair enough if you can only go in and do like 4 exercises twice a week, maybe then. But even then, it's only really for an advanced lifter. And unless you can really lean over, the range of motion you're going to get on that exercise is not really the best, is it? Whereas if you look here, look how far the distance is going to travel. Look how much I can stretch out my traps and go through this exercise. Now, what people get wrong on this exercise, they'll pull the weight from their hands. I don't want you to do that, boys. I want you to drag from the shoulders first. So initiate from the shoulders, and then it's the elbows. You're thinking dragging the elbows back behind the body, squeezing and contracting there. You can do this with dumbbells if you haven't got a machine or a T-bar machine. That's absolutely fine. The point is, boys, it's chest supported, and you're driving that chest against the pad. That is almost like your fixed point. You've got your chest and your feet. They're your main points that are fixed down. Don't think about driving your stomach in, because what will happen is as it gets hard, you will end up driving the chest back off away from the point. Fucking beautiful exercise. For the lats, I'm going to go single arm pull down. I'm not going to go lat pull down. And the reason I say that is the alignment you can get off a cable is it's nigh on a pinpoint. You can literally manipulate your arm path to how you want that to fix. And the lat starts here. We've done many videos on lat training. Goes onto your upper arm. You are literally doing the function of the lat. Closing this angle, getting the elbow all the way into the back pocket. Fucking brilliant exercise, boys. Keep the chest up. Drive, drive, drive. Dragging from the elbow, not the hands. As like with most things in bodybuilding training, you think about the upper arm. When it comes to shoulders, I wouldn't do a shoulder press. And the reason I say that is for two reasons. When we did our inclined dumbbell press, we'd have hit the anterior portion of the delt. When we did our upper back row, we'd have hit the rear delts. So all that's really left is the side delts. And what's going to get more gains on a side delt? Fucking lateral raises. Plenty of lateral raises. They want to be high rep and in your program twice a week. I'm doing it on a cable. And the reason I say that, boys, just to mix it up. With the cable, there is always tension all the way onto the top. Whereas the dumbbell, there is only tension at the top because the drop-off is significant here where the joints are stacked. But here, with the cable, we get to keep that on all the way through. So, beautiful exercise. Hold on to the machine. Lean slightly away. Keep yourself locked in. Just bring the arm in line. Stop around there. Keep the tension on. And continue to drive all the way through. Lateral raises. The fucking GOAT when it comes to building capped-ass delts. 100%. Obviously, in this weird analogy where I'm only allowed 10 exercises, this would be what I go for over a shoulder press for the reasons I've just spoke about. Moving swiftly on. For biceps. For the biceps. Now, you could have done a standing barbell curl. You could have done a standing cable curl. I prefer this. This is like a preacher curl, but look at the position of my arm. It is straight down, and there's no way I can cheat on this exercise. And the fact it's single arm, I don't know about you, but I generally prefer to just dial in one bicep and just to focus on that. If I'm doing two, I sometimes lose the connection with one of them. Very, very nice exercise. No way you can cheat. Drive the back end here against the pad. Slow up, feel the tension. This exercise is 100% what has built the bulk of my bicep over the years. You could have said, oh, what about a pull-up? And that could work, but there's going to be a crossover then to your back, and your back will end up taking over when you do a pull-up. This is single joint, purely on the exercise. Nowhere to really hide, nowhere to cheat. Fucking drive, 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 drive. Get after it. Finish it. There we go. Triceps. Now, this is new to my program, boys, but one thing, I'm going to say two things on this one. The reason why I think my triceps are small, or could be bigger, is because I've just been doing single joint exercise where I'm just pushing a rope down. Rope push downs are very good. The function of the triceps is literally to extend the elbow. And that exercise does that down to a T. That exercise gets harder in the shortened position as well, so it's hardest where you're weakest. But it's not very loadable. You've probably noticed it takes a long time to stack up load on this. I'm actually going to run weighted dips for a long time now on my triceps. Again, when I say this is loadable, you literally will need to add extra load in order to do the movement. You want to stay as upright as you can because we're only really focusing on the elbow joint moving. You will get a little bit of lower chest, and that's what you wouldn't have got from the incline. So again, that's why I thought about the tricep dip as well. But the main thing is the loadability of it, boys. The triceps are a fucking big muscle, and you can really load them up, and this is going to foresee and make that happen. So tricep dips for arms, and that will complete us on the upper body part of this section. Moving on to legs. For legs, for the quads, it has to be the leg press. The quads are a very, very big muscle, and you need to put some fucking load through them. There's no getting around that, boys. You have to load this up really fucking heavy with good form and good technique. I can definitely go heavier on this. Cheers for the cameraman zooming in on my plate stack. But why I picked leg press and not a back squat? Look at the support I've got here. Look how supported my lower back is. I'm seated against here. All that here would have to take the brunt of the load if I'm back squatting. What's going to fail first? This big thick stack of tissue or this lower back here? It's obvious, isn't it? So the more loadable, the more stable something is, the more we can load it up. And again, for quads being such a big muscle, I want to challenge them in the lengthened position over the shortened position. So that'd be my pick for that. But for hamstrings, I'd do the opposite. One thing I will say is, on the leg press, you will get some glute, and the reason for that is because of the position of your hip when you come down. You look here, the glute is now fully stretched because of the amount of hip flexion you've got, and then obviously will shorten as you straighten up and go into slight hip extension. I mean, Jesus, you're not going to get much hip extension on a leg press because you're literally sat in a seat. But then when you do a hamstring curl, the reason I've picked this one, you could have said, why not an RDL? And I just don't think the average person can execute an RDL correctly. I think they end up curving their back, upper and then the lower. They feel it in their back, they don't feel it in their glute and their hamstrings, so they just would not get the connection with their hamstrings. In terms of loadability, and if you could execute it properly, it's a great exercise, of course it is. But I don't think people would be able to execute that properly. The reason I've gone seated instead of lying, because to be honest, I do like a lying. I do connect quite well with it. It's for the same reason as kind of challenging the glute on the leg press. On the lying, your hips are fully extended. On the seated, you're flexed. So the hamstring obviously starts just below where it's over the knee, and then it will wrap just over onto like around the hip area. So it's stretched into this position. So you get a bit more stretch on the hamstring from this position here. Locked in, not really any way you can cheat on this exercise as well. And that would be my go-to for that. Abs. For abs, I'd do one exercise, and it'd be this. I wouldn't do any other bullshit. I wouldn't do leg raises. I wouldn't do anything like this. I would just do a crunch, where the focus is to literally just stack the abs. Don't move the hips. Don't put tension on the hips. Just stack your abs on top of each other. That was a short video because I don't have a full video of me doing it, just a reel of me talking about how to execute it properly. But a crunch is what I would do. Breathe out, stack the abs on top of each other. Don't be moving from your... As soon as your hip flexors are moving, you're not crunching your abs, are you? You're using your hip flexors to do the movement. And the last exercise I would do, I don't actually have a video because it's not fucking cool to take one, would be some form of a calf raise. I would do it seated on like a low T leg press. The leg press that all the bitches use because they don't want to stack proper plates on. That's what I'd do my calf raise on. And I wouldn't neglect calves, boys. I really wouldn't. They're on show a lot of the time. So if you don't train them, it really is going to show. They would be my 10 exercise for completion, how I'd perform them to get the best out of the exercises. If you disagree with any of these exercises, I'd love to know more about it in the comments. Hopefully you found it useful. It's give you some clarity on what really needs to be programmed in your exercises. Of course, you're not going to be restricted to just 10, but let's say you could only train 4 times a week. You could do 5 and 5, rest, 5 and 5, and then rest for 2 days. And that would literally be your program. And if you did just these, you'd be in a good space. You'd make some significant amount of gains. So, boys, as always, I hope this was useful, and I'll see you tomorrow.